Okay, so maybe I can start and the rest will join later. So welcome everybody to this Azure OpenAI webinar. This time not focusing all what the Azure OpenAI can do, but focus really on the customer experience, on the sales pipeline and how to automate and improve these processes. My name is Eric Martin. I'm the Artificial Intelligence Director at MDW, and with me is Maxime Gouffet, who is the CEO of the company. So the idea of the webinar is that at any moment you can write on the chat. Maxime will be with an eye on the chat, so we can reply your questions, and also he can send me to be able to comment it for everyone. So about the agenda of today, what we are going to see. So first of all, we are going to introduce our company, who we are, and well, I think it's necessary to understand why we are well positioned with OpenAI. Then I will make a quick introduction about Azure OpenAI, what it is, what is the difference between OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, GPT, and so on. And then we are going to focus on customer and sales pipelines, how these can be improved, and what are the, sorry, because I'm receiving a lot of requests here. What are the different components that we can improve and we can automatize on this part. And after this, I'm going to switch into business cases and demo. Here, the idea, I will show you specific business cases, but the exercise you have to do is try to extrapolate to your real business case, okay? And after that, we'll see a call to action. So let's start. So MDW, about us. We are a company that, if I have to say in one word what we are dedicated, the word would be data. So we are dedicated to all the data ecosystem. So inside this data ecosystem, we see these three different legs. First one is data management, all related to big data, data lake, data warehouse, data lake house, which is the new trending topic, data engineering, data governance, and so on. Then the second part is the artificial intelligence part, which is the start today, let's say. So, well, let me omit the first one because it's the topic of the webinar and I will come back later. But before OpenAI, we also have done projects using tabular data, time series, images, voice, text, and so on. And of course, as I say, so the rest are seeing my screen because I saw a comment in the chat that someone is not seeing it. If you can reply for the chat if you are seeing my screen or not. Okay, so I received a check. Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, artificial intelligence was also artificial intelligence before OpenAI, but OpenAI is a kind of revolution, and we are going to explain in this webinar why I think it's one of the biggest revolution we have suffered in the, let's say, IT or AI sector in the last years. And finally, the business application part. Business application normally has a star also, which is business intelligence, that I'm sure you are familiar with that term. But more and more low-code and no-code applications are growing, especially because it's really well connected with OpenAI, and we can do such an amazing things. We are going to see later, as I said. For ending with our presentation, we are Microsoft pure player. We don't work with any other cloud provider. And inside this marriage we have with Microsoft, we are solution partner on all the areas that we are working with. We have the advanced specialization in all the areas we work with. And this is for you to make an idea. Partners of Microsoft in Europe, it can be 10,000, and partners with this advanced specialization, it can be, let's say, 10, 20 of them. Also, we have received different Partner of the Year awards last year, this year, 2 different ones. And well, I think that's enough for the introduction of the company. So let's drill now into Azure OpenAI. First, to understand what is GPT. Okay, so think that we are talking right now about GPT. What means GPT? It means generative pre-trained transformer. And what it means? It means generative means that the action that this model can do is generating new text. Okay, and this generation, we can use it to do various things. Okay, and we are going to see examples later. Pre-train. What means pre-train? Pre-train means that the OpenAI guys has to actually, well, anyone knows, but the legend says that they took practically all the text from the internet to train their model. So when you are using it, it's already trained over millions and millions of lines of text. And finally, transformer. This is a little bit more technical, but it's, let's say, the topology of the neural network, which is the latest trend in artificial intelligence to create large language models. Okay, so this is about ChatGPT. But right now, let's try to understand what is OpenAI versus Azure OpenAI. And this is important because I've seen different companies using OpenAI itself to do some tests with confidential information, and this is a big mistake. Okay, so basically, OpenAI is a company that is developing this kind of models: GPT-3, GPT-4, DALL-E, Codex, and so on. And Microsoft has an agreement with this company. Well, actually, right now, I think Microsoft owns like 50% of OpenAI, and inside of this agreement, there is the exclusive licensing access to the models that OpenAI is generating. And these models are deployed into Azure. It's called Azure OpenAI. Azure OpenAI has some advantages, especially this one that is marked here, that you have the security of the cloud. Is like, for the ones that are more common with Azure, is like these services more, meaning that the information is not stored, is not used to retrain, and so on. While if you use directly OpenAI, it is, well, they are saying that they will use this information to retrain the model. Okay, so please, if you want to test something, create an Azure account and not test it into OpenAI if it's confidential information. Okay, and having explained what is, let's say, OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and GPT, the next question is, why is it a revolution? Probably you have read in the social media, this is a revolution. Everybody is saying that, but why it is a revolution? And I think it's due to 3 legs. First one is AI. Why is it a revolution in AI? Because I would say that we are able to do things now that in the past were impossible directly. So, for example, classifying text without having a data set to train a model were impossible. But thanks to the generative feature, it is possible right now to do this, which in the past, like I said, were not possible. Things that were very expensive are now easy. And for example, here I can put you the example of when you are treating different languages. So imagine that you have to reply emails in 4 languages in the past, or to understand emails in 4 languages in the past, you have to create 4 models normally. But right now, with OpenAI, you have to use just 1 model. Okay, so this is a huge advance also. And finally, things that we can do it in the past can be done better right now. I'm thinking, for example, in information retrieval and this kind of things. Okay, so in my opinion, these are the three features that makes a revolution in AI. The second part is integration. Why? Because, well, in the past, when you did a project, an AI project, you normally finish with an API that another application can consume and so on. Here, you are starting in the API. It's already deployed, this model to be consumed, and they are working, let's say, fast with this API, even being a giant model. Then something that is, let's say, preview, but it's coming, is the connectors. So they have connectors for Power Platform, for Dynamics, for Office, Copilot in code, and so on. So this is also differential that Microsoft is doing a great effort in extrapolate this model to all these tools. So this leads us to that we can test things and we can make a quick proof of concept, okay? Because it's really easy to test if this model can solve my problem or not, okay? And finally, as I said, cloud security, this is a must for most organizations, so this is necessary to have. And the third leg is cost. Why cost? Because I think that right now, best model in the world, best text model in the world are available for every company that wants it. Why? Because, for example, DaVinci O3 is not GPT-4, but is, let's say, the second in class, cost 2 cents per 1,000 tokens. For you to understand more or less, 700 words are 1,000 tokens, and it costs you 2 cents to generate these 700 words. So everybody can afford it. And it's really a revolution since a small company is using the same model as Microsoft and is the best one in the world. And also imagine that with the, let's say, with the playground that Azure has available for us, we can test sometimes if the AI part of a big project that we have in mind works or not works per 2 cents or per 6 cents. I mean, so this is incredible. So in my opinion, these are the three things that makes this model an authentic revolution. Okay, so this part has been generalist, let's say, but right now we are going to focus more on the customer and sales and how to improve this part. Okay, so everything starts with a sales team. Okay, and well, I guess in all companies there is a sales team. Doesn't matter if it's 1,000 or 3 persons. I will try to make it generalistic on this part, and you have to map it and adapt it to your real business. Okay. At some point, the sales team will have leads, and what leads are demanding? Well, for example, in my case, that I work in sales normally, they are asking you to respond fast, to respond accurate and with quality, and to be able to personalize the offering. So, for example, in my real case, some customers saying, okay, I can start the project, but after 1 month, I need 3 weeks of stopping the project because the person in charge is in vacation. So, for example, they appreciate this personalized offering. And how they communicate with you? Well, normally they are emails, they are RFPs or RFQs. You have to send offers, you receive contracts, and so on. Okay. And also, you will have at some point customers. Probably you already have it. And what customers demand? Well, of course, what a customer demand is the quality of your product and or your service, but this is something that the sales team cannot manage. Okay, so related to sales team, they are demanding a good customer service, follow up with them, and again, personalized offering. But in this case, I'm thinking more in not spamming them with all the offers on the company, but focus on saying, okay, seeing your characteristics, maybe you are interested in this other product. This is what they appreciate. And normally how they communicate. So they communicate also for emails, they can do calls, they can send you invoices to review, they can send you contracts and so on. Okay, and also I have one extra topic that is related but not, which is the social media. Social media, it's a perfect thermometer of what is happening. But this is more related with the marketing team. And here you can understand the sentiment, what products work, what campaigns work, and so on. And the way of communicating with this normally is through social media itself. So Meta, Google Analytics, TikTok, Twitter, and so on. And here, well, as a curiosity, for example, in a big bank in Spain, they are monitoring the social media because it's faster to know the application of the bank is down on the social media than in their own systems. This is a curiosity, but check the power of social media. Okay. So, well, summarizing this slide a little bit. So we have different ways of receiving information, and we want to improve the customer service, understand the sentiment, respond fast, respond accurate, and so on. And what about if I tell you that all these parts are text or can be converted to text, and we can process it and use it to produce the expected outcome? And well, I drew their OpenAI icon, but it's not alone. This is something that you have to think that normally OpenAI comes with other products. So for example, Power Platform, Power BI, and Azure. Okay. So I think this is a good introduction to start talking about business cases that take inputs from here and produce these outputs here. Okay. Of course, probably I will show you some specific business cases. Probably your one is not exactly like that, but let's say, imagine that we are able to understand all this and to generate all this. So basically, it's just to map a little bit what I'm going to show you to your current projects. So let's start with business cases and demos. The first one is one of the projects that I like the most because it's the first one we did the first one any partner did in West Europe, putting into production this customer service project. So the idea here is that when you receive an email or a call for a customer, automatize as much as possible all the process. And also as extra, well, this automatization will reduce the cost in processing your contact mailbox, so your sales or your customer team will be more free to do value-added tasks, and also to increase to improve the perception of your customers, because imagine that you are responding with accurate information in a short period of time. This will make that your customer thinks better on your customer service. But also have a bonus track here, which is that thanks to this system, we can even analyze and understand what are the customers saying to me. Okay. So let's check for this example. Right now, I'm going to showcase a little bit. So basically, in this example, I'm receiving an email saying that my order ID, this one, should arrive yesterday, but is not here, is not on my house. So can you update me with the delivery status? So what we can do? Well, first, we can extract the topic, the keywords of the email. We can classify it. And this is something that you remember, this is quite new because this was not possible before. We can classify into different categories to, let's say, unlock different flows. So for example, in this case is the delivery status flow. So here what we can do, well, of course, if it has attachment, that is really common, especially on invoicing, we can read it also. Then we have to find if the order ID is present on the email or not. And we can do it also asking to OpenAI. Now I'm going to showcase a little bit. With this with this order ID, we can read into the database what is the delivery status of this product. And imagine that, for example, the delivery status is ongoing. You can even ask to redact a response. Okay, so well, I'm going to try to show you this part. So I'm sending an email to an address that we created for this demo, saying more or less the same, that my order ID is not received and I request for assistance. And while it's processing this part, I'm going to show you in the playground what is happening behind. So let's take this one. So I think this is the exact email. 1 second. Okay. Okay, 1 second. I'm using for this example DaVinci 3. Okay. So I will ask first, imagine that this is automatic. So you are seeing right now me doing it, but imagine that we can automatize all these steps. So first I will need to know, well, just for you to know, as we have this glitch visual, we receive the email, then I will analyze it with you after, but I want you to see this demo. So classify the emails on the different categories: invoice, delivery, return a product, or product damage. So, okay, first it's about delivery. So imagine that we can unlock the flows for delivery. Okay, then for the bonus track purposes, so analyzing what my customer is thinking, I will ask to extract the keywords of the email. Okay, and imagine that, for example, well, this is not very long, but I want to summarize it for the agent that is in charge of responding. So we can summarize into one line. And then let's start with something more difficult. We are asking extract the order ID of the email if it's present. Okay. And right now, what we can ask is to prepare a query for the database, knowing that the email, the order ID is this one. So this, if we execute into our database with another tool, which can be anything, this can give us the delivery status and the delivery day of the product. Okay, well, this part I'm going to simulate it since I'm not writing into the database, but imagine that right now I'm saying that, okay, imagine that it arrives March 10 at midday. Please propose an answer. So basically, we started from here and we're able to automatize everything till a response of the customer. And here, this is actually consulting in the database where is the time. So this is the response I just get from the email I sent at the beginning. So it's requesting the database the information and replying at the moment with all the desired information. In some cases, actually, customers doesn't want this to respond automatically, which I understand, but also we can coordinate with teams. And for example, imagine that you have, okay, for this email that we can summarize it here, the order ID is this one. In the database, what we receive is this, and we propose you to put this email. So the time they can save it just incredible. And also, as I told you, we have an extra goal. So based on this this architecture, what we can know is for each customer contact we receive, imagine that we can classify it, we can let's say understand the top words, link with the location, link with the language, see in which parts of the world are working better. So imagine that, for example, in this case, well, this is an example, of course, but we are seeing that 1/3 of the customer contacts are related to late delivery. So this is something that I want to correct. Also, 10% is wrong item received. So this is something that I have to improve. So these insights are really values for your team. Okay. Okay, so if there is no doubts, I'm going to continue with the second case. Okay, no doubts. Okay, second case is information retrieval and understanding. But let's say that is B2, let's call it B2, because with OpenAI, well, this was possible to do it at the beginning and it worked well. So information retrieval means that you have a lot of documents, you make a query, and it finds inside these documents the most closest document for you, which are normally the response of your query. But right now with OpenAI, we can do it easily and we can do it better because we can find the most closest paragraphs, give back to OpenAI and ask them to redact a response. But don't think just in a bunch of documents. For example, what companies are asking for us? They are asking for let's say an application where they can upload a PDF, a 600 pages PDF, and in less than 1 minute, we have this analyzed and you can ask directly questions about your PDF. So imagine that instead of reading 600 pages to find a specific clause and a specific number on your contract, the price on an RFP and so on, you can directly do it in 1 minute, let's say. So how to demonstrate this part? So we tried to use something that everybody has used, or almost everybody, which is Excel. So I took a manual of Excel and I can ask questions about. Okay, so imagine that here is your documents. Also, in terms of sales, some companies have asked kind of this to, let's say, for manuals for customers on how to do something and so on. So to facilitate. Also internal. Imagine that, for example, companies are working with such an amount of tools, so you can put all your manuals here and then you ask and it replies with the correct question. So for example, I ask how can I add 2 columns only the value is greater than 40. And one of the nice things of using this OpenAI instead of returning the paragraph is that the response is up to what we are asking. So for example, I ask this 40 and it able to create the example with 40. It's not, okay, the example is with 23 and this is your number. I mean, so this is also incredible, and the possibilities based on these, let's say, these technologies are crazy. So in information retrieval, it's possible to do nice project. Okay, so if there is no doubt, yeah, we have adapt. Yeah, it's a good one actually. So they are asking to create the embeddings. Embedding is, imagine that you have this lot of documents or lot of paragraphs. Embedding is how you encode these paragraphs to be able to search after. So you are asking if should I use an OCR before this, and here the response is that yes and no. So you have 2 types of PDF documents. One type is that you can, with code, read exactly the text. So in that case, there is no need of OCR to detect the text. And the second case is, imagine that, for example, is image PDF, so a picture put into a PDF. In that way, you have to use OCR. But I have something to show you much better than an OCR, let's say OCR 2.0, which we'll see later, which is called for recognizer. So after I will show you how to do this part much better than with a regular OCR. Okay, third case that we are going to see is automatic quotation system. This is one that looks easy, but the revenues or the ROI you can obtain with this is incredible, basically. So imagine, and this is, I think, common in big companies, that when you receive orders by email that are redirected to your CRM. So, for example, in this case here, imagine that I need 25 pieces, model this one, and I need the quotation. So what we can do is kind of similar to the other part. So with this information, we can extract the part number that you want to analyze, the quantity, and a query for your database. As you see, the SQL capabilities of this tool are crazy, and this is one of the most used parts of GPT. So imagine that I'm able to generate the query for the database for this part number, and I obtain that the unit price is this one. I can ask it to prepare a response based on the quantity, on the unit price, and on the email received. So basically, imagine that your agents that are here on your CRM, instead of receiving this, having to consult what is the price, do the multiplication, and redact the email, just receive in their Dynamics screen different fields. So 25 pieces as quantity, this number as a part number, and also the price, and also a proposed response. Okay, so actually we are really reducing the time they have to spend on this part. So I can do a quick demo also. So actually the demo is kind of similar to the other one, but this time imagine that we start like this. So hi, I would like the quotation, quantity 25, part number, this number. May you provide? Okay, so first I will ask what is the part number in the email. Okay, perfect. I can ask, what is the quantity present on the email? 25, okay. And I can ask to elaborate a query selecting the price for this part number. Okay, and check that if you execute this in the database, which is pretty easy, you can obtain that the unit price, for example, is 250. And with this 250, I can redact you an email knowing the final total price is this number. So incredible. Actually, this, if it's your case, it can save a lot of time for your workers. So if there is no doubts, and no, okay. So I continue. At the end, anyway, we open the discussion to ask some doubts and so on. Okay. Then we are going to recommend our system. This, of course, it can be done in before, because this is something before OpenAI, but thanks to OpenAI, we can improve the capabilities of this. How we can improve it? Anytime we have free text from the user, we can, let's say, improve this the performance of this model. And here I will comment very quick tool that I think it's really interesting for these purposes, which is called Customer Insights. Why is interesting? Because it's merging, in my opinion, both worlds. So CRM world, the customer world, and the AI world. So basically, thanks to this tool, you can use algorithms over your whole database of customers. So in that case, imagine that you want to recommend a new product, you can have here, well, instead brands, imagine that is product recommended, and you see that, for example, this one is very suitable to this person, and also other models like Charm and so on. And thanks to OpenAI, we are able to analyze also all the interactions based on text. So imagine that you complete a survey, so this customer is calling to your customer service line, so you can understand this case. We have another question. In the scenario of the chatbot that receive information from Excel manual, do we use a bot framework or managing the dialogue only for OpenAI service? Good question again. So basically, what I show you is, of course, is a front that we did just for this purpose. In real life, how you do it? So normally you have two options, bot framework or Power Virtual Agents. Microsoft is betting more for Power Virtual Agents, to be honest, but anyway, they are coexisting. So if you feel more comfortable doing kind of web development in C#, you have more options in bot framework and it's cheaper. And with Power Virtual Agents, normally it's faster to develop since it's just a drag and drop feature. So you have both options. For you to make an idea, Power Virtual Agents is charging you by session of the users, and it costs $200 per 2,000 sessions per month, more or less.
Eric, maybe it brings another question into the table also, which is that Mira is talking about an Excel spreadsheet, which is not documents. Is GPT the let's say the correct tool to retrieve structured information, like because an Excel spreadsheet is like a database table, you know?
Yeah. So actually, okay, I omit the Excel part, but yeah, it was key. So basically, yes, you can do it. So how to do it? Normally with Python or well, whatever language of code, you can read this Excel file and put as an example of. So for example, you can use the same schema of CSV, so comma separated values, and you can pass this into the prompt and ask some questions. What is the limitation? The limitation is, of course, if you have 700,000 million rows, it doesn't fit on your OpenAI. But if it is just a summary table with 10 to 50 rows, you can do it directly. Okay. Then I'm going to jump to social media advanced monitoring. And this I like because, like I said, in the past, so it's like we changed the era. In the past, we were able to analyze 90% of this game. So basically, all quantitative attributes such as users, likes, visits, number of comments, conversion, and so on, it was possible to monitor. But right now, we are able, thanks to OpenAI, to analyze the sentiment, detect the products by the sentiment by product, detect the language, detect different things that in the past were really difficult to detect. It was more or less possible, but the quality is nothing in comparison. So basically, here what I can show you is this report, for example. This was what we were able to do in the past. So basically, like I said, quantitative information. So this is more about the budget, but in this case, sessions, average of one rate, average session duration, but let's say they are quantitative indicators. And right now, what is possible is, well, of course, this is a kind of demo, but what is possible is something like this, that apart from the quantitative information, you are able to understand the comments, to know the sentiment that these comments has, and even, and this is quite different because this was really complex to do it in the past, to be honest, to detect the different products inside these companies. For example, here in this example, we're monitoring these 4 companies, and each of those 4 companies, they have different products. So imagine that, for example, you have a product that is working really bad and another product that is working really well. So to enter inside these comments, to analyze all these comments, is something that right now is easy to achieve. And I have another question. Earlier in the presentation, you mentioned the importance of APIs. Could you please develop on how OpenAI could help to optimize or even to develop APIs? Well, here there are 2 things, I would say. So first one is that OpenAI is deployed, or OpenAI models are deployed as an API. So I'm showing here the playground, but all this is the code to use it as API. So for example, this is Python, this is the JSON, and this is in curl. So you copy and paste this on the terminal and it works. Okay, this is one part. But then also, what you can ask that I think you are going more for there is that, well, I don't know if this is the best model, but you can ask also for code. So I don't know if I'm replying your question, but this is an scaffolding, for example, of the API. Okay, so after the social media, I'm going to the last one, and here, as I promised, I'm going to talk about the OCR 2.0, which is called for Recognizer. This is a real project we did that worked with invoices, so they're part of the sales and customer process. So basically what we did here, so there are companies that receive thousands of invoices per month, which are really difficult to analyze by a human. So, or you have the options, or you have one dedicated big team, or you accept that what you are receiving is okay and you are paying it. But with a system like this one, what we did is extract all the content on the invoices, analyze exactly what are the concepts they are charging you, and use OpenAI model. Or well, we started this is cool because we started as custom model developed by us, but when OpenAI released, it was easy to change and it worked better, of course. So with these concepts that you don't cover or you don't have to pay for are on the invoice, it automatically detects and mark as anomaly to be not paid in order to recover the money. The results of this one, we created a data set, and let's say a synthetic data set to evaluate. It was, well, it varied a little bit in the language, but for example, for French was about 97% of detection in anomalies. So the one score. So basically, thanks to this system, is possible to, let's say, but not think just in invoices. Think also contracts. Think also important documents. So we can read it extract the part that you need using OpenAI and do whatever you need using OpenAI or other tools. So as promised, I'm going to show you this tool a little bit. This project that I already told you is based on this tool apart from OpenAI. So this tool is for Recognizer. And what's the main difference between this and a regular OCR? What's the reason I told you this is an OCR 2.0? Because the information it produces is structured. This is main difference. So after that, it's okay. So for example, if you put this table into an OCR, it will tell you, okay, in this position of the page, you have the right date, here you have right that, and so on. But thanks to this, it's possible to, let's say, have this table into an structured format. So for example, here you can check billing address. So inside billing address, there is house number, there is road, there is postal code, and so on, but it's all related to billing address. Okay. And same with the other tools. So basically with this tool, we are able to extract information from your invoices, your contracts, any kind of document. And now, yes, imagine that, for example, you don't pay document fees. We are able to detect that this is charging you for document fees a total of 30 USD dollars. Okay. So I will check if we have some more.
Eric, yeah, we have an interesting question about robotic process automation to see. So the question where will OpenAI replace RPA, which I answer now, because OpenAI is generating some insights from tests that can trigger robotic process automation. Hence, I think it can be interesting, Eric, if you have, the demo using Power Automate, for instance, to show how we trigger or call robotic process automation using OpenAI outputs. Do you have this demo or not?
No, but I can reply. So basically, it's not replacing robot process automation, it's improving robot process automation. So basically, this we can done it in the past, more or less, with more or less good accuracy here. But right now we can do even better this part, we can do other parts. So imagine that when you detect something in the invoice, you need to redact an email or you need to do something in the database or, So it's, let's say, an improvement or robot process automation of RPA. I don't know if I answer your question. So basically, check this diagram. The idea is the same, but here you put OpenAI and you can do more in the same automation pipeline. Okay. So, well, at the end, if you have more doubts, so we can comment more. So, call to action. So, first of all, interesting point, science our customer normally demands this, is how to measure the ROI. So basically, there are different ways. Cost savings is the easiest one to obtain with this kind of project, because normally the tasks that in the past take 3 hours now can be achieved in 15 minutes. So this is a lot of hours per month, a lot of hours per worker, a lot of hours per year that at the end result in incredible cost savings. So for example, we did projects with a percentage of ROI of about 2000%, so incredible. Also, improve efficiency. You can improve a process and do it better than in the past, which leverage you to advantages and so on. Customer satisfaction. This is one of we talked about. So basically, if you get that your customers see you in a better position, it's positive for sales in that case. In increased revenue. So for example, here, the last one we saw, the one that is recovering money from the invoices directly here. So you can increase revenue and of course you can have competitive advantage. So basically, how can MDW how can we help you? So basically, these projects are kind of special, are not regular projects. Why? Because they are too short, and normally they are open to a lot of people. So basically, what we are proposing to customers is these phases. So initial phase where you prove that what you want to do is working, then a transition with applying governance, let's say create this pilot, and then once it's done, scale and operationalize the solution, and let's say do all the things to basically operationalize the solution, and finally they go live with support, audit, and so on. So normally, and well, this is not the same science, this technology is from January. Normally companies are here. So basically taking their ideas, transforming to a proof of concept and seeing if it works or not. So the potential next step is this first one for you. To make you an idea, in any OpenAI POC that we have done, we spend more than 30 Mondays, something like this. So projects are really cheap in comparison with traditional AI, and projects are much more incredible. So for you to make an idea, we did a chatbot to disponibilize manuals on the company, and the score we are obtaining is 96% of accurate responses. This was completely absurd in the past. So basically, if you rise at 50% in the past, was already a really good chatbot, and right now it is possible to achieve almost 100. So it's something different.
Yeah. Eric, maybe there is a question that I'd like to answer because I think it's interesting. The first one is from Mira asking if form recognizer is systematically recommended for PDF extraction that are images, and I answered that actually yes. However, that OpenAI GPT-4 will become multimodal, meaning that it is actually also used in some demo to do some OCR, but we do not have information yet, too much information yet about this, but maybe in the future that GPT-4 could be used also for OCR. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And there are surging some tools that do this part for GPT-4, but at some point, normally this year, it will be released this part, so maybe you don't need to use these two tools. And also, your options right now to do the thing I saw are two. First one is to use a regular OCR, and second one is to use for recognizer. If you are just looking for the text, maybe you can use the OCR, but anyway, for example, if it's in 2 columns, you will have to post-process the results of OCR. While for recognizer, let me show you, what you receive is JSON like this. That apart the positions, it contains, so for example, let's say the row index, content, column header, so more information that is useful for you to recreate. So, and here, what is interesting is that normally, even you have big documents, the important information is on tables always. So this kind of solution works well. Okay, we have
about the Copilot, I will answer, Eric. So, Mark, yes, indeed, we are extremely close with Microsoft. We are a managed partner with a lot of Partner of the Year awards. So, what I can tell you about Copilot versus OpenAI services. Azure OpenAI services, which Eric is showing you, is really to automate enterprise process that can be used with a batch and in batch mode for an important scalability. A lot of tasks with billions of hours to automate. Copilot is also a product leveraging GPT. However, this is a tool that you use manually in order to to implement one task, a one-shot task. For instance, the PowerPoint that Eric is showing you is maybe generated thanks to GPT. We did a portion of this slide using GPT in order to generate text, okay? If we do it with Copilot, we integrate Copilot into a PowerPoint to do a one-shot operation, to produce something as a developer, as a producer. So it's the same technology behind. This is GPT in both cases, but Copilot is really for one productivity, specific task. OpenAI Azure OpenAI Services is ready to automate this for millions and millions of processing every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have another question here for Dejan that I think is related to the CRM case that I show you. So this one, and he's asking me if that they have to give access OpenAI to all the CRM or the subtool that they are using, and the response is that no, you don't need to give OpenAI access to anything. So basically, it's the example I show you. So understanding this message, so it just has access to this message and generating the query, but it's not able to execute the query. It's just to generate it and to execute it with other tools. So for example, in this project, we did it with Power Automate, which is really easy to make a query into the database. But the point is that OpenAI doesn't have access to any of your information. So I don't know if I replied to you. So do we have more questions? Well, anyway, I'm going to send you the slides and you can have my email here. So at any time, probably you have to digest a little bit the presentation. So you can contact me through my email. You can write to contact address. Also, I would say that follow us on LinkedIn, since we are doing a lot of webinars and a lot of content about OpenAI and other tools. So stay tuned. Thank you.